Okay, boys, we're officially back from the international break. It's been a minute, and today I'm going to be giving out picks for Friday and Saturday, so the first part of the weekend's tips. And if you've been following this channel, you know what we do here. We bet on goals instead of outcomes of games, and focus on single games at maximum doubles instead of the huge accumulators. Okay, let's start off with the Friday's tips. First game, PSG against Monaco, French League, huge game. Both teams are contending for the title at the moment, 3 points away from each other. But we all know how that league is going to end anyway. After a bad start to the season, PSG has been really cooking lately, 5 out of 5 victories. And Monaco only 4 points in the last 3 games. There's 2 stats that I like in this game. First one is that PSG, the 5 victories that they had, they haven't conceded in any of those games. And Monaco haven't scored in 2 consecutive away games. That bonds well for us because I think Monaco will be breaking both of those streaks. So my first tip would be here is to go with Monaco over 0.5 goals or just Monaco to score. The bookies are currently giving us odds 150. Now for the second tip, we head to the German 3rd division, a game between Mannheim and Werl. Mannheim is currently in the relegation zone. They have the 2nd worst defense. And Werl has been on a great streak, and that's why they're only 3 points away from the 3rd place for the promotion zone. There's one stat that I really like in this game is that Werl has scored 2 or more goals in 7 consecutive games, and considering that Mannheim is one of the worst teams and defenses in the league. So my second tip would be here is to go with Werl over 1.5. Of course, it's always a risky bet when you go over 1.5 because the team can win 1-0. But the odds on this one is at 195. So this will be my second tip. Also, one more thing I wanted to mention for the in-game bettors, if you're betting live, and I'm sure there's a lot of you there. Let's take this game, for example, Mannheim against Werl. My suggestion is to go with Werl over 1.5. But for example, if this game goes deep in the second half, let's say after the 17th minute, you can get the same odds online of over 0.5, so just Werl to score. So that's another great strategy, but with online betting you really have to have nerves of steel. But I prefer betting before the game because the same bet can go through in the first 10 minutes if Werl scores 2 goals. So those are 2 great strategies. It depends what you like, but as I said, if you're doing online betting, you really have to live there. And for the people who are betting before the game, maybe you can switch, maybe you can start online betting. But overall, it's really a hustle. Now for the third tip, let's head to the Dutch 2nd division, a game between Telstar and Willem II. Telstar is one of the worst teams in the league, 13 points in 15 games. And Willem II is at the top. And if they keep this pace up, we'll probably see them in the 1st division next year. Now, Telstar's home record is actually pretty decent. They won 3 consecutive games before losing to De Graafschap in their last game. And that's why the odds on Willem II are pretty high. Just for a victory, it's almost at 2. Well, currently it's at 191. But the reason I like Willem II in this game is because they also score 2 or more goals in 4 out of the 5 games they played in. And they're the favorites in this game. You gotta go with the 1st place teams, especially in the 2nd divisions. And the odds are currently here 185. So my 3rd tip would be to go with Willem II to score over 1.5 goals. Now for the 4th tip, we stay in the 2nd Dutch division, a game between Dordrecht and Den Haag. This could be a fun one. Both teams are currently in the promotion zone, and Dordrecht have the 2nd best attack in the league. And just look at their previous 4 results. And Den Haag, on the other hand, is the best away team this season. They have 5 wins and 3 draws. So my 4th tip would be to go with Den Haag over 1 goal for odds 150. But I don't think it's a bad bet if you go with BTTS, considering with how Dordrecht has been playing. And you get the same odds there around 150. Now let's start off with the Saturday's picks and let's head to the Premier League. A lot of good games this weekend, especially the early one, Liverpool against Man City. I'm not taking that game. But we are taking Newcastle against Chelsea. Well, Chelsea has been on an absolute roll, especially away. They have 3 consecutive victories, a huge one against Tottenham. Then they went back-to-back, scoring 4 goals to Man City as well. That was probably the game of the season. And on the other hand, Newcastle had 2 stinkers, back-to-back losses without scoring a goal. And honestly, I don't think there's going to be a 3rd one. I don't see Newcastle not scoring in 3 consecutive games. And at the same time, I don't see Chelsea going 4 victories in a row in the Premier League. And my tip here would be to play it safe. If you have the over 1 bet, take it. The odds are currently at 150 for Newcastle over 1 goal specifically. Now for the second tip, let's remain in the Premier League. Nottingham against Brighton. Brighton has been really annoying as of late because they're not winning games. They're not scoring over 1.5 goals. We had them the previous week before the international break against Everton. We had Brighton over 1.5. Game finished 1-1. In fact, the last time Brighton won a game was 24th of September. So we are on a 2-month anniversary right now. And they're playing a solid Nottingham team, especially at home. They proved it. They beat Aston Villa 2-0. But the Derby has to snap this streak sometime. You know what? I'll go with Brighton again in this one. My tip would be here's Brighton over 1.5. The odds are almost at 2. And if they don't manage to score those 2 goals, you know where they're going. Blacklisted. Before we head to the third tip, let me know what you think about the first 2 picks in Newcastle, Chelsea, and Nottingham against Brighton. Now, the Championship. A game between the top-placed Leicester team against a team that's on a roll in Watford. They haven't lost a game in 6 consecutive games. And Leicester, they may be top, but what I like about this game is that they have lost 2 games in a row without scoring. And you got to go with the favorite here. So I'll play it simple. Leicester over 1.5 against Watford. I think both of those streaks are going to end. So Watford will lose the game and Leicester will score over 1.5. And the odds are currently at 170. So this will be my third tip. Now, for the fourth tip, we head to the Bundesliga, a game between our favorite Union Berlin and Augsburg. Bookies are giving such low odds on Union currently. It's not even at 2 because they think they know it's time for Union to actually win a game. And Union is currently riding a 6-game losing streak at home. And in 5 of those games, they didn't even manage to score a goal. They haven't won a game in forever. And that's why I'm pretty shocked to see Augsburg have such high odds because they could pull this off easily. And they're coming off 4 positive results, so they're also riding a positive streak. I think it's safe to play here Augsburg over 1. If you take that, the odds are currently over 2, so at 2.07 currently. So this will be my fourth tip. Why not? Union has been terrible, and I'll ride with Augsburg here, over 1. Now for the fifth tip, let's head to the Austrian First Division for the first time on this channel. A game between Salzburg and Hartberg. In the table, they're 5 points away from each other. Salzburg is at first with 30 points, and Hartberg is at 25 because they're riding a 3-game winning streak. And there's a stat that I like in this game. Salzburg haven't scored in 2 consecutive games, which is pretty rare. And at home, they score goals. So my fifth tip would be is to ride with the favorite, Salzburg over 1.5. Bookies are not giving us great odds. It's only at 140, but that's understandable because Salzburg is pretty good at home. So that will be my fifth tip, that Salzburg will be scoring over 1.5 goals against Hartberg. Now let's finish up Saturday's tips in the Danish league, a game between Viborg and Copenhagen. Viborg is currently on 16 points in 15 games, pretty bad. And Copenhagen is top of the table. And last round it was pretty dry in the Danish league, unfortunately for us, because we took some games there. And Copenhagen was not one of those games, but they played 0-0 against Brøndby. And in fact, all those games, last time they played before the international break, they finished under 2.5, which is pretty rare for Danish league. And you know what? I'm going with the favorites this weekend. So I would go with the favorite here again, Copenhagen, over 1.5, considering they haven't scored last game. The odds are much better than the Salzburg game. They're at 175. But I think Copenhagen is going to win this game and score the 2 goals. But we're only taking the 2 goals. Okay, boys, so this is it for the weekend's picks. First part, as I said, I'm going to be releasing the second part on Saturday for the Sundays and Mondays tips. But here we have about 10 of them in total. If you like any of them, take them, feel free. But if you don't like any of them, avoid them. It's simple. And if you support this channel, hit the thumbs up. Always appreciate it because I put effort into these picks and I hope you win some money from them. And if you have any good games that you bet on, something I might have missed because there's about 1 million games on the weekend. If you follow other leagues that I do, please post them up because sometimes I take those bets. So thanks guys, as usual, bet responsibly, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.